to another episode of Sober on the Mic. This is episode 2, and today we are going to be meeting Simon. Now, I've never met Simon before. This is the first time I've had contact with Simon. He got in contact with me on the Sober on the Mic Instagram page and was really keen to share his story. So you're going to learn Simon's story in the same sort of way that I am, and we're going to start off as we always do with the 20 quick fire questions. So Simon, are you ready for your quick 20 questions?
Ready and waiting.
Right then, so including alcohol, what was your drug of choice?
It's solely alcohol with me, all the way. Any form, mainly wine, but alcohol.
So wine was your tipple.
White wine was my poison, quite literally.
And how old were you when you first noticed that you had an issue with alcohol use?
I think the weird thing is I was doing a bit of reflection on this question. I know it's meant to be quick fire, but I think often you don't realise as you're doing it because it creeps upon you. But probably going back, I think late 20s was really when I was in a relationship, bit controlling, but I were living in a place where I had to walk back from the station, from the station to my home, about 10-minute walk. And this is a bit where my other half was quite controlling, didn't like me drinking. So I'd be buying a little bottle of wine or a can of lager for the walk home. And then when you reflect on that more, you go, actually, that was getting a problem then, 'cause you're hiding your drinking. So it's more of a reflective, I probably didn't realise at the time, but reflectiveness, it makes you go, that's probably when I knew I was starting to do things that weren't necessarily the norm.
Yeah, I think that's really common. I think that's quite common I definitely resonate with that myself. It was the secrets and all that sort of stuff when I started realising, ooh, okay.
I did the swigging behind the fridge door.
Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, not good.
So notice in your 20s, and how old are you now?
I'm 51.
51. And how long have you been sober for?
Been sober for 5.5 years now. So since March 2020.
Fantastic. And where are you from, Simon?
I'm from a place called Bromsgrove in Worcestershire, sort of slap bang between Birmingham and Worcester.
Lovely.
So you'll hear a bit of a Brummy twang, probably.
What one word would your friends use to describe you?
I asked this question. I asked my friends this question. I think I got the responses. I had determined. I had the responses: passionate, inspirational, which I think is a bit maybe far-fetched, but that type of thing. I think, very determined, dogged. That sort of really motivated. Yeah, I think that's what it'll be.
Good.
Inspirational feels a little bit of a stretch, but I'll go with it. That's what they said.
And what daily habit do you do every day to kind of keep yourself grounded?
My big thing, because I have a million ideas of what I want to do, and I tend to think, and I'm not sound real knob here, I tend to think quite big. I want to think how much I can do, but probably if I'll get a bit carried away. So I have to make a list, and I have to try and set my priorities. If I don't, I will tangent off, spin off all over the place. So I have to control myself.
Yeah. So you're not a procrastinator, you're more of a, I do too many things at once.
I've got to get on and do it. I don't sit there and think about it. I just want to get on and do it. If I know it's instinctively the right thing to do, I'll just want to go and do it. The problem is I'll try and bite off too many things at once. So if I have to sit back and go, I have to take that step back, take that time to organise, write a list. Because I'm trying to juggle work I do here with my own business, and I do market stalls and stuff like that. So I've got to try and balance it somewhere. But it does often end up me working to quite late at night. But good thing I'm passionate about everything I do, so it's not a hardship, so it's great.
That's the key word in recovery, isn't it? Balance.
Not best at it, but I just, as long as I'm passionate about everything I do and it's a hardship, it doesn't matter, does it? I don't mind doing it.
Yeah. Next quick fire question: what is your quote or mantra that you live by?
Yeah, I've used this one quite a lot. It didn't take a lot of thinking. Onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
I think because of what I've been through, I'll go on to it, but I've been through, I had a liver transplant. So I think going through something like that is obviously it could destroy you, or what it could destroy you, but actually, no, it's not going to destroy me, it's going to make me stronger. So onwards and upwards has always been my little catchphrase I put at the end of my posts and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. I'll make sure we use that on the clip
always
for this one. Onwards and upwards.
Forward and upwards. Yeah. Onwards, upwards. Yeah.
Who is your hero?
This one I struggled with a bit. Not because I don't have a hero. I don't really have one particular hero. So I think, it's people who embody my values, or
Yeah.
people who are trying to do similar things I'm trying to do. But that doesn't necessarily be in the field I'm at. I'm talking about like my brother. My brother is
Yeah.
really inspirational for me. He's the sort of person. Unfortunately, I've lost the rest of my family. I've lost my
Right.
other brother and my parents. So my brother is that person. He's like can be my sounding board.
Yeah.
I've got my business partner who's also like that. I've got my consultants at the hospital are definitely
Yeah.
heroes because they saved my life.
Yeah.
Um, some music legends, and I listen to classical music. I did a music degree, so I love
Wow.
classical composers, people like Bach, Handel. So they will
Yeah.
be heroes for me just because the talent, and then to the performers who perform some of the music, especially singers. I'm just in awe of incredible vocalists.
Yeah.
Just I think because I was good but not good enough.
Yeah.
Those are really good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So lots
So
of different
that
things in different fields, but there's not like one person I could
just
specify, but it's
multiple
the
people that kind of
combination of
touched your
things
life.
for different reasons. But probably the most will probably family and consultants. I'd
Yeah.
say the hospital consultants at the QE are incredible.
Mm. Amazing. So that links in really nicely of what's a song that always lifts your mood?
Again, it's going to classical, so it's going to be a bit. I don't know if people recognise it. I had two. I had one at first, and I thought another one this morning. I'm probably going to pronounce it horribly wrong. So one's Handel, Arrival of Queen Sheba
Yeah.
from the Orator of Solomon. It's quite well known if you heard it. I
Hmm.
think they've used it at some royal weddings and stuff. It's
Yeah.
just a very upbeat one. And the other one's called. It's a Bach piece. It's for like a flute or recorder called Badeneri, and I don't know if I said that
Right.
right, but it's just a short swoop. It's very fast, very furious, but
Yeah.
quite like light and fun. It's just one of those like makes you sort of like skip along. So it's
Yeah.
happier music, I suppose.
Yeah.
That's what I like sometimes. I like really serious dark music, but if you're talking about something about lifting my mood, there's
Yeah.
definitely something a bit more fast paced and
That's
get you
brilliant.
dancing.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at making like a playlist to be available to people out of all the songs that everyone kind of puts forward. So I'll get yours on there.
And I think if I went to pop, I just thought one now. If I went to pop, it's really weird out of the blue that's come to my head. There's a Hue and Cry track, Labour of Love, from probably the 80s, I think it is. That
Yeah.
shows how old I am. That, in terms of pop tracks, is the one which, again, it's upbeat, fast,
Yeah.
gets me going. So heard
Gets
it
you
in the pub
going.
the other week, and I was
Yeah.
like, wow, it's Hue and Cry, amazing.
Yeah.
Takes me
Oh,
back.
that's great. What's your star sign, Simon?
I'm a Cancer.
Cancer. And are you a cat person or a dog person?
I think a bit of both. I've grown up with both. I think grown up more close to cats, but now I tend to I do market stores again. You always end up like fussing the dogs or having a chat
Yeah.
with the owners and stuff. It's just really nice. They're beautiful dogs and stuff, and I just like the characters you get and the different ones. But yeah, cats in their whole temperament of like we don't give a crap, and just
Yeah.
like that whole independence bit. But also dogs for the cuteness and the
Yeah.
general. They're positive creatures, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
fueled by the simple things in
Yeah.
life, and I quite like that as well.
Yeah. I am fascinated by the impact that animals have on people's recovery. It's a really
I
big
think
thing.
at the QE they have a in the post transplant and pre transplant they've got a dog they
Have
take into
they?
onto the wards,
Yeah.
and that really lifts people's spirits on
Yeah.
the wards if they're having a bit of a bad day or generally feeling. But actually, when they're in there for 2 weeks isolated, it can be a bit downer. So just
Yeah.
taking a dog in there sometimes just it lifts the spirit.
Lifts it,
Don't think they could
lifts
take
it.
a cat, could they? Be
Yeah.
climbing all over the
Yeah, they can't be
equipment.
chewing all the leads.
But the dog definitely lifts the
Yeah.
spirits, and that's
Yeah.
what people tell me.
It's
Yeah.
lovely, isn't it? Who would play you in the movie of your life?
Again, I had a quick. I thought it said Tom Hanks at first,
Oh,
but
yeah.
my friend said actually Stanley Tucci.
Oh,
Just
I like
because
Stanley Tucci. That's a good one.
she said because of the glasses, I've got loads of different pairs of glasses. I'm
Yeah.
because I have to have glasses. 'Cause I'm blind as a bat close up. I'm okay distance wise, but close up.
Yeah.
So I've got loads of different glasses, and I'm always buying glasses. I'm obsessed by buying different
Yeah.
style glasses. These are quite boring. These are my normal reading ones, but I'm wearing today. But yeah, a bit obsessed with glasses. So they said Stanley Tucci would be a better fit because of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Or Elton John with all the different
Oh
glasses.
no, I'm always one of those people. If I wear any type of slight extreme glasses or colourful ones, I always look like Elton John. Everyone thinks, "What's that, Elton John?" And I see it myself and I go, "That's too scary. I need to get down."
And who would do the soundtrack of your life if not Elton John?
No, definitely not. It would back to classical. It would be someone like Handel, just
Yeah.
because the storytelling they can
Yeah.
do with the dramatic bit and
Yeah.
the soft bits, and just that change in tempo and pace and
And mood.
mood. Yeah, I think just classical all the way. I'm a bit of an odd one at my age.
That'll be a good film, that.
At 16, I was listening to rock
Yeah.
music, so I was always a bit not quite the norm in that
Yeah,
sense.
I like that. If you could have a dinner party with a famous person, dead or alive, who would it be?
I didn't go for famous person actually. I just went for my family again
Yeah,
because I've lost my family apart from my brother, and I get to see him. He lives abroad, so I get to see him like twice a year. So
yeah,
I think to sit down with my full family again and
yeah,
have that sort of meal together.
yeah,
That's something that we always did growing up. We always sat at
yeah,
the table. We always had tea, sat down at the table. We were
yeah,
always very close. So have that back. I wouldn't need it with a
no,
famous person because I thought
no.
about famous people, but I
But that,
prefer to have it with my loved ones
yeah,
pretty
so
much.
much more meaningful, isn't it?
Yeah,
Lovely answer. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
morning. All the
Morning.
way. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'm one of those people, if someone says, "Do you want to meet up?" And they say, "What time?" They say 8 o'clock. I'm like, "Are you on drugs?
Yeah.
Are you mad?"
Yeah. I'm in
So
bed
I'm
by half
definitely.
past nine. What you on about?
I know. It's like,
Yeah.
what? I'm already like
Yeah.
settled down in my comfies by then. If you look, if I'm in my comfies past 5 o'clock, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think definitely I'm a morning person. I definitely will be. If I'm not up doing stuff, I'll be in my bed and I'd message myself lots because I think of things and
Yeah.
my brain is like active in the morning, so I'll think of things and I'll email myself lots of to do tasks and stuff as
Yeah.
I'm even if I'm in
Yeah.
bed playing a game or whatever, I'll still be
Not
going,
quite
oh
ever turned off. Are
yeah.
you team sweet or team savory?
It changed pre and post transplant, weird one.
Really?
Pre pre was savory, post was sweet. There's a bit of a working theory on this one that um we have to take obviously medication for the rest of our life,
Mm.
and the anti-rejection medication tacrolimus. There's a bit of a working theory that the body generally has a thing where it can tell you when you've had enough sweet. It's got its levels, but apparently the tacrolimus suppresses that body's ability.
Oh,
So
wow.
you always have a bit of a craving for sweet. It's never been like proven, but it's a bit of a
Yeah.
working thing in the liver
Oh,
community.
wow.
So you get
Oh,
quite a lot
that's
of
fascinating.
post-transplant people who get a sweet tooth.
Wow.
So now my friend sent me a little meme. Well, it's probably months ago now, but I'll be out. I'm going to have lunch with them. I love having a bit of a lunch out. Go have lunch, and then about an hour later, we wander around. I go, "Oh, I need something sweet now," and I'll be like,
Yeah.
"I need something sweet." So I'll have to go
Yeah.
into M&S or somewhere, get a chocolate
Yeah.
bar or just a cake or something
Yeah.
somewhere. But I'll
Oh,
be in the
that's,
middle of everywhere, and she goes, "I need something sweet." So she sent me a little meme
yeah.
which says that, just random man. Oh, I need
Yeah.
something sweet. That's me
That
now.
is fascinating. That is absolutely fascinating. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Okay, bit of an odd one, my odd one again, but for me, the ability to stop greed and self-interest.
Right. Yep. Yep.
I see, especially since coming into this sort of arena of not just the podcast, but the Instagram and the social media side of things. I
Hmm.
find it a lot of people who got to be careful with this one. People who purvey that they're helping, a lot of
Yep.
it's based around self-interest and promoting
Yeah.
themselves rather than the cause.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely about the cause and helping people go
Yeah.
through not go through what I've been through.
Yeah.
So I think that, and then it was agreed, obviously, it's just about everything's about money. And I
Yeah.
very much, that's one of my biggest learnings post transplant is that life doesn't revolve about money and
No.
doing a big power job doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's fascinating, isn't it? I really resonate with that quite a lot of kind of when I've got in the world of trying to launch the podcast and share the podcast. You look at a lot of things and think, oh, I don't know. It's all more about selling alcohol-free products and things like that, as opposed to sharing the
we're good.
stories.
You're going to start me off. Yeah, I think this whole thing, and I'm absolutely all for alcohol-free products. I'm nothing against it. Actually, I think we need to encourage more of it, but
Mm,
outside of London. I see this London bubble, and please not against London. I lived there for 15
yeah,
years myself, but I see this trend of sober in a London bubble, and which is great. But actually, you've got to think about where the people who need the help the most, and the
yes,
people who need the
yeah,
help the most are regional and probably more deprived areas.
yes,
So
yep.
we need to break this London bubble and get with the amazing stuff they're doing in London and spread it across the
Spread it out
country
everywhere. Yeah, no, I
and get
totally
people
agree
in
with that.
London to step out of London and help us
Yeah,
with that. Because I
yeah,
think that's what I've been trying to do in my events, but it's really hard to get people out of London.
and
So
engage. Yeah, it's
our
really,
engagement
really
are just
tough, isn't
like
it?
they're going, oh yeah, but it's 2 hours. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, come on, come and help,
yeah,
but it's really hard. Luckily, I've got some really loyal brands I've started to work with who are more Midlands based, but lots of plans to how I want to
yeah.
challenge that going forward as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. You're right. It is a very, very, very London centric. And then there's people like you and I trying to pull it out to,
I find two things London centric and 20 to 35-year-old centric. And again, the biggest issue, if you looked at it as a business, you'd say we want to target where we've got the biggest customer base. Wrong words, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know exactly
Biggest
what you mean.
customer base is 40 to 65-year-olds.
Yep.
They're the people needing the most help, but we're not on social. We're not talking to those guys very well. We're not engaging with those guys very well, and we're not educating those guys very well. So that's probably something that I'm trying to change in what I'm doing.
Yeah. No, it's very true. It's the market, isn't it, of what you go for. It's people go for the young thing, and actually the most people that have come forward to me are in their 40s plus, our mums, our dads, they're
selling the sexy of sober.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, sober's not that sexy. Bits of it are, and you can make a really
nice
lifestyle. But the problems associated with drinking aren't that sexy. And I think sometimes we've got to remember what the cause is and overlay. We're doing this for a reason, and it's preventative and to help people with problems.
Yeah.
And I think we just need to sometimes rethink about our cause.
Yeah.
Before we then step forward into that media bit.
That's a really, really great point. Do you have a guilty pleasure band, TV show, film, or hobby?
God. Yeah, murder reality shows.
Oh, what, as in like The Traitors?
I'm obviously a psychopath.
Oh, you're talking like the serial killer ones. Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. And then final question. Do you support football team? And if so, who?
Not really, but staying loyal to my hometown, it would be Bromsgrove Rovers if I had to say. They're in the, I don't know what league they're in. I think they're in the one of the under division. I don't know what they're called. I'm so unfootball. I can't remember what the
keeping it local, and that's what matters.
Vauxhall Conference or the one below that.
Yeah. So that was the kind of fun getting to know you sort of bit, and now we're kind of go into the meat and the bones of it. So prior to this, I contact you about 3 moments that changed your life in terms of your recovery and the advice you would give on that. So totally kind of up to you. Lead the way. How would you like to start this?
So obviously I've spoken about I had a liver transplant. Had a liver transplant just over 4 years, 4 years and 1 week today. And I suppose the first bit of what changed my life is the discovery of what I had through a bit of a health scare, effectively. So back in March 2020, I was drinking for a long, I've been drinking for 20 odd years, from the age of probably 15. Obviously, the going with friends in the field with a box of booze and what you did in the 80s, that's what we did, through to uni, through to then, London, because London lifestyle is very social. And especially if you're in music, I was doing music, and a lot of time you've got rehearsals to 9 o'clock and you go for drinks afterwards. So it becomes a cycle. Through to my 30s, I had an experience where I moved home for a new job, ended up in a place I was very lonely, didn't know anyone. And my drinking, that's probably my worst drink in my life. That was in my late 30s. Through to my 40s. And it wasn't until obviously March 2020 I woke up with my stomach was distended effectively. So it was stuck out.
Yeah.
And obviously that was that shock was quite a revelation to me, because at the point I didn't really know what it was, but I think in my mind I'd sort of put 2 and 2 together and sort of worked it out myself, and said, oh, okay, the only thing I do which could cause me to suddenly have a problem overnight is probably drinking.
Yeah.
So the night before that scare was the last night I ever drank.
Oh, wow.
So I definitely had, we call it in drinking, I don't know if you've come across, but the light switch moment.
Yeah.
You have a bit of light switch moment where you suddenly go, okay, enough's enough.
Yeah.
And that was my scare.
It's interesting, isn't it, when the body reaches the denial process, like kind of looking down at that denial is hard then, isn't it?
And this is the big problem with drinking and how it can affect your health, because the liver's a bit of an odd one. They call liver disease one of the silent diseases, just because it doesn't often show itself until the effects of it are quite extreme or quite late on. So the extended stomach is something called ascites, which is a side effect of liver disease. So by the time my body presented itself, I was already stage 4 liver cirrhosis.
Yeah.
So that's the point where it's not reversible. But you see other people have this same thing. The liver doesn't have any pain receptors, so it'll never tell you there's an issue. And you often don't get symptoms until it's often later through, or sometimes unfortunately too late.
Yeah.
There's some really quite scary facts in the UK that 27 people in England die a day through liver disease. But what the scariest bit is that 9 out of 10 of those could be prevented with early detection. And
Mm,
that's part of what I'm trying to do is the education to get people to try and understand that earlier on in the
mm,
process rather than get to where I got to, which is, um, it was not too late because look, I had the operation to save my life. But, my first meeting with my consultants at the QE when I got in probably after about a year after that fact, was you need a transplant. Without a transplant, you've got a year to two to live. 1 year, max 2 years to live.
yeah.
That's the bitter pill I'd swallow.
Yeah.
And I think if I'd have known earlier in my life about what it can actually do and what alcohol is, that I think could have shaped my life differently.
Mm,
And I think that's what I'm trying to do now with the work I'm doing is trying to get people to understand. So going to the advice for the listeners
yeah.
is understanding what alcohol really is
Mm,
for me. So alcohol is a poison. There's no way getting away from it. Alcohol, the body processes it in a certain way. I'm not very good at the technical terms, so please excuse me with names. I wasn't very good at science at school, but effectively, the ethanol is obviously a poison. The body then breaks that down to another type of poison, which is more harmful to your body to be able to
yeah.
process it. And that other type of poison is also a class one carcinogen in the same class as asbestos and cigarettes, tobacco.
Yeah.
So this is what you're doing to yourself. The other issue is then that alcohol, even though it's not classed as a drug, if you look at its harm on yourself and others, it is like the number one harmful substance you can imbibe or consume
Mm,
above heroin, crack cocaine, everything.
yeah.
So you look because it doesn't just have effect on yourself, it has an effect on society. So there is a graph, obviously we can't show it here,
Yeah.
but shows the effect on yourself, and it's by number one by quite some way as well.
Yeah. Is that the one by Professor David Nutt?
It probably is. It like splits the graph in two, so there's a proportion of the chart of
Yeah.
the bar,
Yeah.
which is how it harms you, and the proportion that harms society. And
Yeah.
it's not equal, but fairly evenly split on that one, whereas
Yeah.
other bits just yourself. But the combined of the two just makes it the number one
Yeah.
issue out there. But this product is advertised, glorified, glamorized.
Mm,
So to me, it's about, if you're going to advise, try and understand what it is, try and understand what your body does and how your body processes it, then how your body reacts if you have too much. And then you can make an informed decision about what you put in your body. How much, I'm not anti-alcohol at all. I think enjoy drinking
no.
responsibly,
It's just
absolutely
that
100%.
informed choice
But
thing, isn't it?
know
Yeah.
what
Know
it
what you're
is.
doing.
Our society is very formed around drinking, and it's
Yeah.
3 out of 4 soaps are based in pubs. You've got effectively, I went to a wedding sober for the first time about 2 years ago. It was scary,
Yeah.
scary. Literally, come on, let's get. I don't know what the language would be like in here. Let's get this. Let's go
Yeah.
around. Let's have a drink. And I'm just like sitting there going, "Oh my God, I've never noticed this before because I've always been one of them."
Mm,
I've suddenly noticed the whole that obviously there was the love element, which was beautiful, but to me, the whole thing should be about that love element.
yeah.
But it was actually almost like somewhat not shadow, but
Yeah.
there was a bit more of an equality with the drinking and getting drunk bit
Yeah.
of the night, which being sober, looking at it, put a completely different perspective and
Yeah.
different lens on it to me. And I was
Well,
like, wow.
we're
And
heading
we,
towards Christmas time, which is obviously
yeah,
when the adverts really put out there, you know, you can't have a Christmas without a drink, and
yeah,
it's crazy.
absolutely. But again, it's glamorizing poison. It's glamorizing something, I really hope I was talking to my business partner about this morning. I really hope there comes a point in time where alcohol goes through the same process transformation as cigarettes has,
Yeah.
because that then means we've achieved something really meaningful.
Yeah.
Because to me, it should, because it causes you worse harm than cigarettes.
Yeah.
Cigarettes is not necessarily demonized, but it becomes about a choice,
Yeah.
and you know the facts. Alcohol should be exactly the same, not
Yeah.
treated anything differently than that. And that, if we can get to that point where people understand what it causes, so there's lots of lobbying going on at the moment about getting labeling on bottles,
Yeah.
getting minimum unit pricing in the UK exists in Wales and Scotland, but not in the UK. Getting duty on cider.
Yeah.
There's no duty on cider at the moment, which is bonkers the way everyone drinks massive bottles of like
Yeah.
Blue Lightning, whatever it is, White Lightning,
Yeah.
because it's so cheap because there's no duty involved. So if we can sort of change these things slowly or as quick as we can, that should help. And again, and then the other bit is around, you do get the fight back. Maybe not like the space for this, but you get the fight back from pubs and
Yeah.
hospitality that's killing
Yeah.
them. But actually, minimum unit pricing doesn't apply to pubs.
No.
So that's a bit of a red herring if you hear that.
Yeah.
They talk about, oh, how much money the alcohol industry is bringing in, but actually the cost to the NHS is far greater
Yes. Yeah.
than the money. It's 17 billion pound estimated cost to the NHS a
Yeah.
year,
And the
whereas
money they make from
it's
selling the alcohol products, it doesn't go back into services that try and support
no.
people with addiction.
So
We don't see a penny of it, do we?
there's a lot of like greenwashing by the
Yeah.
drinks lobbies of this, and we just got to be careful. You just go and look at the facts on it.
Yeah.
But again, there's amazing sober movement which is helping that. So hopefully
Yeah.
that will just be aware who you're taking the information from,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
some
And
are actually,
hopefully a
even some even
shift will
sober
start
stuff
to
is,
come.
yeah, some of the sober stuff's actually paid for by the drinks industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just
Yeah.
be a bit careful who you take your advice from as well.
Yeah, and I also think with some of the alcohol-free beers, I know some of them now have actually got 0.5%
Yeah.
in them, so they're being advertised as alcohol-free when they're not.
No, no, and that's a bit of a choice again on that one. It's a
Mm,
bit of a grey area, I think,
mm,
because then you've got bananas have 0.5% alcohol as well.
yeah.
So it's your choice, but I think it's better to have that than to have a fully strength
Yeah,
one. But I think it feels a little bit misleading
it does.
sometimes. It depends what your circumstance with alcohol is. So I'm myself, because I am post-transplant, emotionally, if you're a dependent alcoholic or you've been through transplant, you shouldn't really have alternatives because it's still deemed as an emotional crutch.
Yeah,
Um, so you just got to be careful. So you just got to do what suits you, I think. And if it's better than nothing, and there are some great products, but there's also great products which are completely zero out there.
yeah,
So you just
yeah,
got to make your choice. Just read the label.
yeah,
But hopefully we'll get there.
yeah. So going back to yourself, so
Yes.
prior to waking up that morning and kind of your stomach's distended and you've got to go and have your transplant, did you try? Did you go to any meetings before? And had you even considered prior to that you might have an issue with
Mm,
alcohol?
no, 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 complete denial.
Mm,
I think there was times like the secret drinking I talked about in that same sort of period of time, in that same sort of year it was, because it was while I was living in one place. I must have gone to the doctors for something and had a blood test, and they'd found something. They sent me a letter saying there's something come up in your bloods. We want to discuss it with you. I probably knew what it was, and again instinctively inside I knew, but I ignored the letter.
yeah,
I think I just ignored it. I knew when I was 37 when I moved to Hertfordshire that I was drinking way too much. So, there's mornings where I had to call in sick, or I'd be
mm,
halfway to work driving, which is scary in itself
yeah,
because I should never have been driving.
mm,
Or I turned back because I felt so rough. I had to phone in sick. Obviously, not telling them that I was that, just saying I was sick. But
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I was in complete denial over it because it's the only thing that sort of alcohol then day, you're doing it for a reason. I'm not an extreme of this in any way. I wouldn't say I've not been treated badly in my childhood. I've not had any
yeah,
sort of mental scars. I think that mine has always been habit, boredom, loneliness,
yeah,
and maybe a bit of grief, but that happened later in my life, so I can't
yeah,
blame that for my pre-40s really.
yeah,
Um, so I think a lot of it is loneliness, boredom, and habit.
yeah,
And that's what my triggers were. And when I moved to Hertfordshire, when I didn't know many people, I definitely got the loneliness and boredom factors, especially
yeah,
the weekends. I had nothing to do often. So I'd always wait till 12 o'clock
mm,
because I felt that was acceptable.
yep,
So I had some moral compass in me
yep,
somewhere. But as soon as 12 o'clock came, I would drink probably a bottle and a half of wine
mm,
over the next hour or so,
yeah,
or 2 hours, or maybe two bottles. And then I'd probably need to sleep because I was,
yeah,
you're effectively half conking out. I'd then wake
mm,
up after that sleep and then do it all again.
yeah,
So I'd probably be getting over three bottles at a weekend a day. And that just starts to seep into your day life. I was smoking heavily as well.
yeah,
So it was anything to like numb the pain, pass the
yeah,
time, numb the loneliness, numb the
yeah.
boredom. So
And it
it's a
just becomes
coping mechanism.
it's
Yeah.
rinse, wash, repeat, isn't it? Like you say, it becomes how
Yeah.
you cope with life.
And there's bits in there where I was doing stuff which again was the hiding it. There's the bit around this is the day, this is much of my age again, when we didn't have the big recycle bins. We
Yeah.
had the little boxes that sat outside your house.
Yeah.
And mine was on the kind of row of cottages. I was in Hertfordshire, a row of little cottages where everyone saw everyone's business in that box. It's fine if you got newspapers and a couple of bottles, but mine was literally rammed with
Round, yeah.
bottles. But that was knowing that what was in there wasn't what I consumed. So what I was doing is I was going on the way to work and going to the local Asda and go to the bottle bank and dropping
Yeah.
loads off. And then eventually, and that's the denial aspect. I think then eventually I moved to boxes of wine. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't then have to face that embarrassment of the
Easy to
clinking.
recycle. Yeah.
The recycling needs, you could fold them up, put them down, and put them in your other recycling bin, which wouldn't show anything, and it was carved and didn't chink.
Yeah.
So there's a massive bit of denial in there, but I've never admitted that to myself at the time, and I don't think I ever did until the shock moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's crazy how insidiously it happens, isn't it?
yeah.
It really creeps up on people, and it's only on reflection that you can look back and think, oh, there were signs there. But when you're in it, it's really hard to see the signs, isn't
You
it?
don't. I don't think you want to see them often
Yeah.
because you enjoy it or you rely on it so much that you want to ignore those signs.
Hmm.
Um, because it was my coping. What I probably should have done in retrospect is find more activity to do outside of friends and stuff, which is what I do now. But
Yeah.
it's finding ways to cope with the triggers,
Yeah.
and that's something again, if you seek help, you can get help with.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely reach out if you can.
Mm. So you've had 5 years of being able to kind of manage your triggers and stuff. What advice would you give to people listening who are maybe about to take the step or are in the early stages of taking the step? What advice would you give them in terms of managing triggers and managing the daily grind, really?
I think with the drinks, I'd find something you enjoy to drink. Don't suffer with cups of tea and squash
Yeah.
because it's boring.
Yeah.
You're never gonna be happy if you just drink tea and squash all the time. So find something you enjoy, drink
Yeah.
wise, if that be, if you're not, if you can have non-alcohol, so you're happy to have non-alcoholic, find that, or find an alternative. I drink a lime and mint cordial with tonic
Oh,
water. That's
lovely.
my little poison now, and that is just really refreshing. It feels like an adult drink
Yeah. Yeah.
rather than a day drink, so
Yeah.
that gives me that split in my
Yeah.
mind somewhere. I think reach out to people. There's loads and loads of support out there, not just formal support. There's loads of sober groups. There's loads of support networks. The British Liver Trust are amazing. They've got some really
Yes.
good meetings online you can go to. AA is not for everyone, but they are there if it works for
Yeah.
you. There's other people who are not just they're just social sobers. So there's loads out there. Another thing, just try where you can to keep yourself busy
Yeah.
and try and find an interest or a social group or a pastime which can occupy or a cause or
Mm.
just
Yeah.
something to you'd hope you got some form of interest. My problem is I've got too bloody many, so trying to do everything. But you should find something to occupy, whether that be taking up a hobby, whether that be going to a painting class, going to not everyone's into everything, but there's so much out there taking up walking, just going, there's
Yeah.
loads of walking groups out there.
Yeah.
Just find something locally to you that can distract you, and you've got people to talk to. So again, if it's loneliness a lot of time it's causing it, you need to take that trigger away almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also the other bit I'd say is this is a really hard pill to swallow. You've got to consider who else is in your life and who might be causing triggers.
Yeah.
And it's really hard because it's really personal to you, but you've got to put yourself first in this.
Yeah.
And you've got to think about, could the people your friends be not aiding? If they're real friends, they'll support you.
Yeah.
If you've got friends who want to encourage you to drink even when you want to try and cut down, you probably don't need those in your life.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
harsh reality.
But it
So
is the
just try and,
reality.
yeah,
Yeah.
because they should be supporting you. They should be happy for you.
Yeah.
Not they shouldn't be encouraging you to drink or sober shaming you in any way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, just or think about the circumstances you put yourself in. But hopefully I don't lead my life anything differently now in the sense of my social circumstances I put myself in. I just find if I went out and drank Coke, I think I'd be bored out of my brain. But if I
Yeah,
can find alternatives or something nice to drink that feels like I'm part of the
yeah,
crowd, and you get to a point actually, you watch other people get drunk, and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm quite happy where I am,
yeah. There's a
thanks. I don't,
smugness, isn't there?
but,
There's a
yeah, I don't want to
smugness.
smoke, but I'm like, oh God, okay, they're starting to get loud now.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
starting to talk crap.
I enjoy not having the hangover. I look in and thinking you're gonna feel this in the morning, whereas I'm gonna
Yeah, but
wake
they
up
just
fresh as
start
a
to talk
daisy.
drivel. They start repeating themselves. They start
Mm,
getting louder.
yeah,
And you don't look at it's not you don't look at them in shame, but you just look at them and go, I'm so pleased I'm not being like that. I'm not
yeah,
what did I enjoy about that?
yeah, yeah,
It's very bizarre. But yeah, it's quite enlightening in the same way to
yeah,
watch it from a sober stance.
yeah.
Luckily most of my friends don't drink that much now, the
Oh,
ones in my
that's
life,
quite
which
handy.
yeah, that I bet they always worry as well. That's the nice thing about the friends who go, "Are you okay if I have a drink?" Absolutely.
Yeah,
But it's the fact they ask is quite nice
yeah.
in a
It's
way. But
nice, isn't it? Yeah.
but I'm like, yeah, absolutely have a drink. But they'd never. But they're just not the sort of people. They've got kids, they've got responsibilities. They're not going to drink
Mm,
to that extent. And the people who do, even as my friends still, are just taking shorter doses, so I don't get to that
yeah,
point with them where they're wrecked.
yeah.
It doesn't tempt me because
No.
my life now is so much more fulfilled and better from being sober than my previous life. So I
Yeah.
wouldn't want to return to that anyway.
Yeah, it's fascinating that, isn't it? I've never met anyone who was happier when they were using
Yeah,
than when they're in recovery.
absolutely. God, there's so much more I get done
Yeah.
in my life, and suddenly I think you find it sort of snowballs a bit.
Yeah.
You find like an interest, and then that interest takes over, and you find yourself almost too busy.
Yeah.
That you're actually
Which is
now
a
trying to
good
find
thing.
the
Yeah.
quiet time again. I find
Yeah.
that, oh, I just need a night in, or
Yeah.
I just need a night off to switch
Yeah.
off. I'm actually having an afternoon off today. This is like
Oh, that'll
incredible.
be lovely. So, talk to me about how the liver transplant kind of changed your life and changed your perspective. So, you're in hospital. When does it get approached to you that you're going to need the transplant? And then what does life look like after the transplant?
So I when I got originally diagnosed in March 2020, I went through a year of treatment locally. They didn't think I've never had an indication my liver was in that bad a state. I knew it was not good, but I knew I had liver disease. But I went through a series then having diuretics because to get rid of the fluid. I went very thin. I went down to 8 stone 12 at one point, which was
Wow.
quite scary.
Yeah.
But weirdly, I quite liked it at the time because I've always been that slightly a couple of extra pounds. I've never been
Yeah.
massive, but a couple of extra pounds. I thought, oh, I'm skinny for the first time in my life.
Hmm.
But actually, looking back now, it wasn't healthy. What I was like, I think I went through but where it stopped work. The diuretics like stopped working. Back probably about the October time that year, and I started the stomach started coming back. And at that point, they said, well, it's not working. The drugs
Mm.
aren't working anymore. They tried a few different bits, but effectively, my liver was failing.
Yeah.
Because it's your liver that processes drugs medication, so it wasn't working. So I had to stop and that and also because your sodium levels were starting to get dangerous, so didn't want to affect your kidneys, so I had to come
Yeah.
off. And that's when I started going through the whole sort of process of the building fluid and then onto drains. So I started the
Mm.
drain process, which was again to give you a sober wake up call. Having drains every 2 weeks, so taking 15 liters of fluid off you
Yeah.
is quite eye opening. Um, so I was going through that. I was with the consultants at Worcester. Uh, Not they weren't doing anything, but I'm from a corporate background, so I wanted a plan. I
Yeah.
always wanted a plan. Where's the plan? Yes, I asked for this plan, and I never got this plan. So I
Yeah.
think it got to the last appointment I had, probably one of the last appointments I had with them was in February 2021. Well, I said went in and said, "Where's the plan?"
Yeah.
Again, I was determined to get this plan. And they said, well, we can either sit here talk about your problems for the next 20 minutes, or you can leave me alone and I'll try and find you a hospital bed. And that's the words to me. And I just walked out, tail between my legs, feeling a bit, yeah, crap, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
And they said, if you don't find your bed, if I haven't called you, walk yourself into hospital. So I did exactly that afternoon.
Yeah.
Remember, this was in COVID. So I had to literally walk
Oh,
myself
yeah,
in
of
by
course.
myself. So I had to waddle because I was full of ascites at the time, waddle myself in a case into A&E.
Oh my God.
My cousin had to drop me off outside and I had to
Yeah.
waddle myself in. Went in, got me straight into the ward, everything, because my stomach was so large, it was pressing on my lungs and it was pressing on my
Right.
stomach. So I lost the weight, so it was pressing on my stomach a lot, so I was never hungry. And it was pressing my lungs, so my breathing regulation and my OBS, my oxygen levels were down at like in the
Yeah.
80s, early 80s. So they got me sort of straight in. I was in there for 6 days. I was then in. I had to go back in after a drain. I had a drain a couple of weeks afterwards, and they kept me in after the drains again. My obs had gone down too low, and that was the point. I was going, okay, nothing's happening. I'm not getting sorted. I need to get sorted. My brother was getting quite concerned.
Yeah.
My family were getting quite concerned. So my brother spoke to found a way into the QE, found someone through research, and spoke to them about what was going on, and they managed to secure an appointment with one of the consultants. I had to go through my GP just to get them to refer me to make it official.
Right.
So I went into the QE to me, a guy called Neil Rajoria, and had my appointment 2nd of April 2021, if I remember right. And effectively said, there's three things. You need a transplant. Without a transplant, you've got a year, 2 years max to live, which is a bit of, interesting one to say.
Scary.
Um, we've got to find out whether you're mentally in the right place to have a
Right.
transplant, but physically you're not ready to have a transplant. You're not well enough. You wouldn't survive a
Mm.
transplant. So we need to build you up. So I went to see again with getting on the liver waiting list isn't like you just don't go in and they go, you need
And
a
get a
liver, so we'll
liver.
get you
Yeah.
on. You have to go through assessment, and with drink, you have to go through further assessment because you have to go through a psychological assessment. So I think you have to be at least 4 months abstinent to even qualify
Right.
to have assessment. Luckily, I was a year by that point, or over a year. So you go through a whole lot of psychological evaluation, get your mindsets in the right place that you won't drink again and that you want to not drink again.
Yeah.
So you do loads of coursework and work with their sort of clinical nurses on that. Bless you.
Pardon me,
Um,
sorry.
you then also have to go through lots of physical assessment, and that was going to be the issue with me because physically, because I'd lost so much weight, and you lose weight, but you also lose body mass and muscle. So I effectively relate myself to like almost like an Ethiopian because I was skin and bones, but with a big
With
stomach.
this, yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you think about the pictures back to your childhood, we've seen the Ethiopians like starving. That's a bit what I look like,
Yeah.
which is quite scary. So and the dietitian who I was working with said, well, at the moment they want to put you through to assessment in July. So this was probably like May time.
Yeah.
They want to put you assessment in June, July. At the moment, I would not sign you off assessment because you wouldn't survive the op. I was like, okay. So I said the only
So
way to get
frightening. So frightening.
yeah. So I said the only way to get you ready for the operation is to give you a feeding tube. So I had an NG tube, feeding tube
Yeah.
fitted. So effectively up through my nose, down through my throat, into my stomach, straight into my stomach. And every night I had to feed myself. So I was eating in a day anyway, but I wasn't eating much because my stomach was
Yeah.
squashed by the fluid. So at night I had to do all the flushes, all the fun
Yeah.
there, and then put myself. I had to sleep at a 45-degree angle on a frame because you could aspirate if you were at the wrong angle, which could then obviously cause bigger problems like chest infections, pneumonia.
Yeah.
So fun. I really love sleeping that time of my life. And yeah, I went through that and I had that in eventually. I had it in it ended up being like 5 months. I had that in. Luckily, it was COVID, so you had a mask. So a lot of
Yeah.
time the mask covered where it was, so people
Yeah.
going out in public didn't necessarily see it. Um, but I had that 5 months, so I went through all that. Not very nice to have fitted, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I know every throat numbing spray in the
Yeah.
on the counters at every chemist,
Yeah.
trying to get the sore throat to go away. But it did get better. They've got better equipment now they use. Um, so I had that, and then I had my assessment in July, and because I'd put some mass back on, not a lot, but I put some back on. I said figuratively, when I came out the op, I was 9.5 stones, which shows I was still very underweight,
Yeah.
but I was better and stronger. So they passed me through assessment. So that's when you get onto the transplant list. I then unfortunately had COVID again struck, a few bits because it doesn't necessarily mean the first liver that becomes available is yours, because one, you have to get on to put on a priority list based on your different scores they have.
Yeah.
There's different types of livers as well you can have. There's one from someone who's brain dead and someone who's died instantly. So there's
Right.
whole,
Whole
yeah,
minefield.
and then there's things like the liver can't be, lovely word here, can't be harvested from the body until the heart stopped beating.
Right.
So often, if the heart didn't stop beating, if it was too late stopping beating, the liver was then no good because it'd bring out oxygen.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting bits there. But so effectively, it was not until I didn't get my transplant to my ninth attempt.
Oh my
That's quite
goodness.
unusual, I will add, for anyone listening, because
Yeah.
it's usually one, two, maximum three times. I was a bit of a special case. Four times where the liver wasn't suitable. Very happy about that. I don't want
Yeah.
any liver put in me. Four times were what they call not having a bed, which can be anything from not having a bed to not having staff to look after you in ICU. If you need a
Yeah.
dedicated person in ICU to look after you. Uh, so it wasn't my ninth time I went in, and I was always very jokey. I've always been incredibly positive, as you might come across, hopefully.
Yep.
Uh, and I was always like that, and I was always quite, because it had happened so many times, I was also quite flippant in a
Yeah.
humorous way. I think other people got more concerned about me not having the transplant than I was, because everyone was like, "Oh, how do you put up with? How do you gonna? Well, what can I do?
Mm.
I don't want a dodgy liver put in me, and I can't help them not having staff or not having a bed. I can't
Yeah.
affect it. So why hang my hope? Just keep looking to
Yeah.
future. As I said, onwards and upwards, keep looking to the light, sort of thing. So got on my ninth attempt. I was lucky. I was pretty. I didn't have much complications. I was in and out of hospital in 12 days, and yeah, the life. What's it done to my life now? It's completely transformed. I feel incredibly honoured, privileged, lucky, humbled to
Yeah.
have someone donate their organ to me. All I know is it was a lady in her early 20s who had a subcutaneous brain hemorrhage. That's the information I know.
Yeah.
Uh, I had a split liver, so I had the right hand side because the liver was so healthy. They were
Yeah.
able to give me one side and they gave the child to the other side. So that person saved two people's lives, which again is
Wow.
incredibly. When
Yeah.
they told me, I was quite like, again, funny about in hospital when they told me, I was a bit like, I'm not sure I'm going to be. I blubbed when they told me two
Mm.
people were saved. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was my ninth attempt. I was still being flippant on the day. I was still being very much like, ain't gonna happen. They got me in a robe and I was going, oh, this is new.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it happened. I was lucky. Okay, I've had a few complications since, but nothing more to do with the ascites and the swelling of the stomach and having a. I'm prone to hernias because of my thinning of my stomach wall, but I've got that sorted now. They put a mesh in. They've operated again and put a mesh in. But yeah, in sense of what it's done for my life, it has transformed me.
Yeah.
Um, Transformed my passion, my love for life, my, try to be what I want to call it, but it's
Yeah.
just that whole, and all I want to do now is try and help other people. Obviously, I've got to do work to make money as well.
Yeah.
So I do a bit of that on, I do that element to my job, but I spend a lot of time trying to help other people. And I don't know if we go into the questioning here, but I've set up my own sort of group called Unwind.
Yeah.
It's
Lovely.
sort of like play on words, obviously with wine being my poison, but I set that up only really back in July this year. We're at our coming up to our fifth event now. So we do sort of three different separate types of events. We do larger events called Let's Talk Alcohol. These are awareness events. These are very much driven at getting into city or large
Yeah.
residential populous places and trying to reach out to people about drinking and what alcohol is. So we do a night where we have speakers, we have support groups there, we have non-alcoholic options there, we have a few
Yeah.
brands there, which is why I say about difficult to get people out of London because
Yeah.
yeah. And it's just a general informal night where people come and listen, learn, talk to people, socialize, try stuff. We both the last two we've had a liver scanning machine there from the
Oh,
QE. So people can
fantastic.
do live liver health checks if they are concerned, so they
Yeah.
can check the density of the liver and the
Yeah.
fattiness of it. So we try to have those once a quarter, and that will be ongoing now. We've just last week, it was last week, we did Birmingham. Well, it'll be the week before by the time this goes out,
Yeah.
but yeah, we've done one in my local town just to give it a tester, and we're planning ones hopefully in Wolverhampton, Dudley, and Coventry areas in the
Oh,
future.
that's fantastic.
So I want to keep it Midlands based to keep it achievable. That's why I have
Yeah.
to calm myself
That's the
down.
thing,
So
isn't it? Yeah.
it's not going too far yet, but And then I do a monthly group here in Bromsgrove where it's just more for social. We have a few talks and stuff like that, but keep
Yeah.
it quite low key. People can drop in, drop out as they want.
Yeah.
And then I'm starting to do social events. So I've got the first one next month. I'm doing a cheese tasting night, but
Nice.
paired with non-alcoholic wines, beers, and ciders.
Yeah.
I'm doing a Christmas party, weirdly at Birmingham Brewing Society, Brewing
Wow.
Brewery. But
Yeah.
they do obviously sober brummy if you've heard of the drink. But we're doing one there where we're going to have Santa, we're going to have Christmas tipples, but with
Yeah.
obviously non-alcoholic.
Yeah.
Just fun events which are
Yeah.
nice, which are it's about the event, not about the sober aspect.
Mm.
But you can go and have a nice event with the sober. So there's threefold things. So that what the transplant and my being sober has caused me is to give me that passion to go and
Yeah.
help people and give me that life and that drive.
Yeah.
And I had it before, but just not on
Not
the
like this.
same.
Mm.
It's a completely different thing. It's because I think you really value the importance of life
Yeah.
because I've almost died, effectively, and
Yeah.
I've lost other people around me. You really value life and you don't want to waste it. So you
Yeah.
have a whole your life changes meaning in a way. So I do say this quite often, but if anything, the transplant has made me a better person,
Yeah.
and my experience has made me a better person because I want more from life and I want to experience
Yes.
more and do more and help more. If I can make some small impact to people in what I do and who I influence and
Yeah.
who I help, I'm a very, very happy man.
Yeah.
It's as simple
Uh,
as that with me.
it's
Don't,
fantastic. I really love what you're doing, Simon, and I like how it's inevitable. If we don't knock our drinking on the head, eventually our liver is going to catch up
yeah,
with us. And I think you're a really brilliant example of how even when you get to like that stage 4 bit, there's still life. There's
of
still hope.
course. And this is again one of the misunderstandings with society at the moment because we think about how ingrained it is. We were speaking this, I think, before the podcast. Um, you associate being an alcoholic with your what we call a highly dependent alcoholic, which will
Yeah.
be what you associate with the pictures of people with a brown paper bag out of a bench, the stereotype
Yeah.
drunk you think about. If you look at numbers, these are facts. 14% of alcoholics are that type of alcoholic. 86% of alcoholics are functional.
Yeah.
You and me going through daily life, still holding a job down, still doing, we're talking doctors, nurses,
Yeah.
teachers, who might not associate themselves with being an alcoholic. And it's almost like getting to people to understand the norm is actually the
Yeah.
functional alcoholics, and
Yes,
they're
it
the
is.
ones we
And
need to speak to.
your liver doesn't care if you're
Nope.
what side you're on.
I
It's
was
the same
definitely
outcome.
functional. I was working. I
Yeah.
was working for years and in fairly senior, not top, but fairly senior positions and holding down the job and doing well and not bothering me.
Yeah.
It was my norm. That was my
Yeah.
norm. Feeling a little bit jaded was my norm.
Yeah.
Um, so it's that side of things. It's the preventative bit, like understanding that it can happen to you. And I'm proof, I'm living proof of that. I'm a normal person living a normal life. I'm not highly dependent. I gave up straight away. Probably shouldn't have done that in retrospect. And I was told I probably shouldn't
Mm.
have done that, but I did. And I didn't have any side effects. So I definitely wasn't dependent,
Yeah.
but I was an alcoholic.
Yeah.
And that's the piece that people can't quite come to terms with because they
Yeah.
don't associate themselves because they're associating themselves with the wrong
Yeah.
stereotype or a
Yeah.
stereotype that isn't the
It isn't the
norm.
norm. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's getting that point across to people that it could be them, and it
Yeah.
definitely was me.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic. So before we move on to your final question, so I can let you go about your business, is there any other kind of advice that you would really wish to impart on our listeners?
um the only things you say, like, you know, in all this, I always say stay positive because to
Mm.
me, positivity was fundamental to my recovery, fundamental to my future state, fundamental to everything. I think it helps recovery of the drug. It helped recovery from a transplant. It really fundamental. I've seen people who are very glass empty, first
Yeah.
half full, and you see a completely difference in their recovery rate. It's
Yeah.
a lot quicker and a lot easier if you stay focused and stay positive. I think there's something around there. That transformation is possible. and the rewards of being sober go far
Mm.
beyond what you got from the
Yeah.
alcohol. Uh, and I suppose the overall thing is just stay focused. I often say this to people going through transplant because at the time they're going through some really hard times. And this is not to do with alcohol, this is transplant in total, but life in total. If you're going through a bit of a hard time, you're questioning yourself, try and focus it, go back and have a think about what you're trying to achieve and what you do and what fills you
Mm.
with passion, refocus and then head towards that light again.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with my business partner a couple of days ago, have it with myself all the time. Just take a bit of time, reflect, and then go, what do I want? What do I do? Refocus and go at it again.
Yeah.
Because I just feel that you've got to keep your focus on a light, on your passion.
Yeah.
If you do what you're passionate about, you'll love your life.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
not
No,
happy, you're in the power to change it yourself.
yeah.
You're the only one who has that power. So you
Yeah.
need to make a decision to change it. It's not easy. I get
Yeah.
that. I'm not saying I didn't turn around overnight and went, that's it, I'm done. I'm going to
Yeah.
change. No, it's taken me, the recovery has taken me from like 2021 and it's only now in 2025, 5.5, 4 years later, I'm setting up these groups.
Yeah.
So it hasn't been an overnight. And now I've got the whole thing of trying to get this group established and moving
Yeah.
on. And I
Yeah.
look to other people doing sober stuff and go, oh my God, they're so well, doing so well. And I feel like I'm a mile away, but keep focusing on the light, on my
Yeah.
mission, on my cause and what I want to do. And I'll get there.
Yeah. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. I think your story is absolutely inspirational. I love how honest you've been throughout this. So before we finish up, do you have any recommendations of a book, a film, an album, anything for our audience that would help them in their journey?
I'd say there is around like reaching out. The reaching out bit, I'd say British Liver Trust is a really good place to start and chatting with people around liver problem. There's a nurse helpline there if you want to
Yeah.
phone. They're not nurse in sense that they're not just there for medical problems. They are there
Yeah.
also to advise and try and find something that suits you. I think to me, in sense of if you want to understand alcohol a bit more. There's a really good, I'm going to get this horribly wrong. There's a podcast by an American guy, and I had to think about it because I couldn't think of an answer. But then I went back to this. He's called, I'm going to get it really wrong. I think it's something like Andreas Huberman,
Right.
but he's an American doctor, effectively. And there's some great podcasts out there, but he does one. It's about an hour long, so it takes a bit of, you've got to sit through. But he comes at it from a doctor's point of view, not from an anti-alcohol point of view, from a
Right.
doctor's point of view.
Yeah.
And he talks through about what alcohol is, what it does, how your body, all the bits I've talked about. But he talks about it from a medical stance, and he
Mm.
tries to do some really good myth busting. You get this, a glass of red wine a day is really good for you. No,
No, it's
no
not.
amount of
Yeah.
alcohol is ever good for you. It's a poison. What there is in red wine, there's something called bilirubins, which is something that comes from the redness, which is the skin of the grape. So just go and eat a grape,
Yeah. Yeah.
or
Yeah.
have tea because it's in tea as well. It's
Yeah.
in other things. It just happens to be in red wine. Weird, it's not in white wine because it's the color of the grape which affects
Right.
this this element which is good for you. So just he gets really behind the myths and the facts behind it. And I found it, even though it's quite a long haul watch, and there's weird things where he does adverts in the middle and he's speaking them, which you've got to put up with. But the content and what he's saying is really factual and it makes you have a real like, okay, didn't realize that. Have a listen. And it's a nice, rather than me saying, oh, so I'm going to be quite opinionated to a point with stuff
Mm.
because I've been through it. He's not coming up that way. He's coming from a medical standpoint and he will talk very factually about
Yeah.
it, non-emotionally. I think everything he's got to approach everything non-emotionally.
Yeah.
And I just like the way he did it, and I think it's a really good one. So it's a podcast he does. It's on YouTube. You can access it on YouTube. Just look up. Sure, it's Andres Huberman. If you need to fact check me on that afterwards and correct me,
Well,
please
when
do.
we launch this, we'll put the link up for that, and we'll also put the link up to
Cool.
your Instagram, so anyone who wants to get involved and learn more about you or
Oh,
get behind
please.
some of the
And
stuff you're doing.
what I was going to say to anyone, if you don't want to go to a group, a support group, if you don't want to reach out to me directly,
Yeah.
please. Because if again, it's lovely. I've done, people are taking the mick out of me downtown because I do market stores.
Yeah.
And so the guys in the stores going, oh, well, you talk to us still. You're famous. You've been on radio. I keep saying I'm the face for radio, so I've not made it onto anything in person yet. So that says about what I look like, maybe. But, it's about reaching out. And if I can, I've had two people reach out to me since last page episodes. In fact, that's just two. Doesn't seem a lot to a lot of people. To me, that's
But it's,
plenty.
yeah,
It's
it is.
the one person, they're going to come to my group, they're going to chat. They're having chats with me now. Please, if anyone can listen to this podcast and if they don't feel comfortable going to a group, absolutely not a
Yeah,
problem. If you just want to message me on Instagram, say hello,
yeah,
have a chat. It might not be me who can help you. I might need to put you in a direction, but I can signpost you to the right
yeah,
way
yeah,
or where you want to go next. But I'll never force you to do anything. It's totally up to you. You've got to make your
yeah,
own mind up and your own decision making on
yeah,
this. And it's got to come from you, because if it doesn't come from you, you won't achieve it.
yeah,
And I can't press you to do something. It's got to come from within you. And it's got to be really what you desire.
yeah.
You've got
But
to
we
have your
can
light switch
help.
moment,
Yeah,
and I can't influence your light switch moment. I can just educate a
yeah,
bit around some of the facts of stuff and
yeah,
influence, but I can't tell you to do anything. I
yeah.
never would. That's your
Mm,
decision to make.
yeah. Amazing. I think what you're doing, Simon, is fantastic. Your story is
Thank you.
absolutely inspirational. So we will share everything in the
I don't. I never
links.
mean it to be as an inspiration, because I mean
But
it to
it
be.
is.
It's just the fact. Well, it is. It's just my story. It's just what
Yeah,
I've been through. Like other, loads of other people go through. It's not meant to be inspiring. It's meant to just show people a pathway to
yeah,
something better, and something safer, better
yeah,
in a good. If you want to go that way, but just safer and
yeah,
protecting your life.
yeah.
Factually, um, awareness. Just know what you're putting in your body. Know what you wouldn't do this with smoking or drugs,
No.
and this is just as bad, if not worse. So just
Yes.
understand,
Yeah.
if you can understand that,
Then
you're
you're there.
you're
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 nearly
going in the
there.
right direction,
Yeah.
and that's enough. You need to stand for now, and then you can make some decisions about how you want to take
Yeah.
that forward.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Simon. You're
No
you're an
problem at
absolute
all.
superstar. And yeah, thank you for all of our listeners, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Sober on the Mic. Thank you.